One concurrent viewer, baby. All right. Welcome in. Check the chat. Check the chat. Come on. Let's hear some stock suggestions. Drop them down below. I'm waiting. Let's blow this thing up. Let's blow this thing up. I'm just charting on my own until I see it. Let's blow this thing up. Two viewers. All right. Welcome in, guys. Welcome to our Neo GameStop Crypto Q&A. I am asking and answering any questions. I just want to see what you guys are genuinely curious about. It's been a pretty wild ride in which we have grown this channel from 200 to 300 to 400, 500 to almost 800 subscribers here. So genuinely from the bottom of my heart, thank you if you've been a part of this journey. And I want to help you guys better understand the stock market and better understand how to put together these trades. So I would appreciate if you guys give me some darn suggestions. I got Neo locked and loaded, absolutely ready to rock and roll with a long chart of Neo stock. I'd like to just restart this chart so that I can focus and see it clearer. As you draw more and more lines, it can become foggy. So let's see. First time doing a live stream. Are you guys able to put stuff in the chat? Because I am the only one in chat. Live chat. Let's see. All messages are visible. So none yet. Still waiting to see some suggestions. And in the interim, I'm going to be charting bonk. That's not great. It's not a great look right there. Shooting star candle rejection. Potential to come all the way down. Cross down on the MACD 4-hour chart. Test of this uptrend. Interesting. Potential bear channel on bonk. If I was a bear, I would say that's going to break down. You're going to go to 8, which is unideal for a double bottom potentially. 3 viewers. That's kind of crazy, SoFi. Wow. Wow. To viewers, drop a stock below that you guys want to see me cover, and I'll continue to cover it. Like, share, subscribe, get the channel out there, because I'd like to start charting. It's the first time ever doing a Q&A, and boy, is it interesting. What is a 30-minute doing? 1 hour is curling. Potential to make another higher high. Ay, Dogecoin. Not the best look. Not at all. Dang, Weeble. What's that volume? Oh my goodness. Wow. That is crazy. On a hammer candle, too. Daily Death Cross coming on Weeble. Guys, if you're in the chat, make sure to drop a comment down below. That way I can see what stock you guys want me to cover or what questions you may have. That could have been beautiful. What is this chart? What is this chart? That's not a great look. Man. Woo! There we go. There we go. We got peeps in the chat. Welcome back. We say AMC has some weird action after hours Monday and today with these little spikes. Those are what we call, in case you guys are unaware, those are what we call thumps. And thumps, let me pull up AMC. Actually, let's pull up who's notorious of seeing these beautiful thumps, and that is GameStop. It's actually criminal, and it used to happen more often, but you can see almost pitch perfect every single day, 7 p.m. It never fails to amaze us. These thumps or blips in price action. See if I can find another one. It's quite literally just like a 10-minute candle that trades, and you can see it here, right? You enter the overnight hours of the market, and then boom, boom. I mean, it's got to be some kind of glitch, and I've seen people give explanations in the past of maybe it is just this one share that is fulfilled at this price that they must have had a buy order in for, or a sell order, excuse me, for $24.49, and then it just glitches. I guess I honestly couldn't tell you, but it's specifically always in overnight trading. So very, very interesting. A lot of off-market volume AMC today. Let's look at that. AMC, we'll pull up AMC off-market. AMC Entertainment. Holy cow! Holy cow, 4.26%. AMC, what are you doing? And you can actually see here on Webull. Webull is the only, I believe, the only platform that has AMC and overnight trading. That's why I love it so much. And it's also just a great platform when you're trying to use these indicators, the EMAs, the MAs, MACD, RSI. I like to use TradingView more, so that's why you'll see me kind of bounce back and forth between TradingView and Webull. But my goodness, AMC up to 290 in the after hours. And that really brings you right below the 50-day EMA, sitting at 292. So my golly, this is starting to actually get kind of interesting. And if I'm not mistaken, that may actually have you outside of this wedge. It's kind of displaced here. But yeah, it does. 290, dang. So you're officially out of the falling wedge in overnight trading. Whether or not that holds overnight, that's going to be really interesting to see. Something that I was watching particularly was the retest of this uptrend, flipping from support to potential resistance, and kind of a bummer to see that you wicked off of it. But now overnight trading, it seems like you're getting some generally positive steam, even though you just literally went to 288. Seems like Kenny G heard me speaking great about AMC and sold. What do you expect a GME move to be this month? I'm thinking early to mid-November going into earnings. Well, GameStop is very notorious for seeing those thumps, right? Or seeing earnings volatility. It's actually kind of comical. But if you go into the weekly chart, and I posted this on Twitter, so maybe I'll just pull up my Twitter. Let's pull it up. Boom. So I posted this on Twitter. I said, golden uptrend still intact here on GME. I'm inclined to believe, based off of the trend, a volatile move could be on the horizon. 4-hour bullish div on the RSI. So in case you guys don't know what that is, bullish div, let's see if I have it in here. Bullish div is when you make a higher high on the RSI relatively, and you can see this, the price action makes a lower low on the price. So what that is that's buyers stepping in, and that's the relative strength index showing more strength than the stock currently has, but foreshadowing, right? But not to pull away from the fact that I still believe in the AMC GameStop run. But I kind of outlined in this post, and a break of the micro falling wedge, not a bad time to pick up shares, in my opinion, not financial advice. Oh yeah, and IWM's at all-time highs. So very, very interesting here. You can see this very tight falling wedge on GME. Meanwhile, you're kind of pinned below this 2360 horizontal resistance that was your breaking point during earnings that propelled you into this run. And also just has been a stingy spot in the past. But the golden trend line that I'm talking about here, guys, in case you guys are not aware or ill-informed, you can see that this golden trend line, I made it gold for a reason. This thing is absolute trading gold. Like, this is one of those wins that if you can pick up shares on this trend line, historically, you've done very well. And I would not deviate from this unless it breaks, right? So you can see here, you tapped it first, you initiated it back in 2020. I think it's like around November here. You pop like 200%, come back in a flag pattern or a channel pattern, tap it once more, and then that propelled you into your January squeeze. Now, you held this uptrend all throughout this. It's just existing, and then you boink it. You bink, and you see a major thump in price. Soon as Roaring Kitty, I mean, I'm sure he had this on his chart, so why wouldn't we be aligned here and just have the same trend line as Roaring Kitty? My man probably averaged down here or swung options, boom, and then now we're getting really close. So I can pull up what I'm talking about. In fact, I had it ready. That even if on GameStop you drop this trend line, which has been significant historical support, and so I say this is generally positive for AMC and GameStop. It's great to see AMC up 4% in overnight trading, and it's great to see GameStop coming to significant support here at the 200-day weekly EMA, as well as this uptrend. And this is where I'm just outlining. If you see the worst case scenario, right, you finally break below, I mean, you're coming to one of the best resistances on this stock. And I would arguably say the best uptrend on this stock to ever have been formed. So I have nothing but good things to say about GameStop below $23. In fact, I would load the freaking boat. But let's see what else we're asking. You expect GME to move this month. I expect a nice size launch off of this trend. Off of this trend line on the 200-day EMA, just like you got a bounce here. And that was my kind of thesis, right? You typically do not stay stagnant at this 200-day weekly EMA unless you knife below it. And every single time you've tested this thing, launch, right? So it's no surprise to see sentiment so low. I mean, you can see in my channel's viewership, you can see in market and X Twitter sentiment specifically that when it is most ripe to buy, that is the time typically when people are bearish. So I'm bullish as all get out. The only thing I don't like is this ramp up in volume from the bears, but easily, I mean, we're at Wednesday and the volume is absolutely dirt dry. So very interested to see what GameStop can do here. And if it can make a relative higher low, then it can make a higher high. And I'm still in belief that it will, unless proven otherwise, right? So let's get into that other question I saw here. AMC pump before early December, in my opinion. You know, I don't put that at all. I don't doubt that at all. In fact, I think it could definitely happen before December. It's just AMC typically will trade and coil in like an absolute spring. I mean, typically when it runs, it runs. There's not a lot of chop. It's you typically very decisive in the moves that it makes. I mean, you can see here, it took you only 3 weeks to 100%. Like, that's absurd. That is not typical price action. Sorry, 61%. But that is still not typical price action. And AMC definitely loves its falling wedges. To see that you're breaking out from one right now, we just have to do what we've always said we had to do. And that is claim the 50-day EMA as support. And as soon as you do so, you're going to see this thing, this yellow sloping line begin to slope up. And if you can successfully bounce off of that a couple of times, it's my guess that you're going sky high out of this falling wedge and into the 200-day EMA for the first test, and hopefully a successful one. You can see how well this level has been respected. You got smacked. You got smacked. It's like that one song, shots, right? And you're potentially looking for your first breakout since February of 2021. And that would be huge. That would be insane for AMC. So whether or not you see this move that forces a golden cross, or whether or not you kind of just trade into it, right? It's also a very likely possibility if you don't see terrible news. The only thing that scares me on AMC is share dilution. But if you can see this move happen before, even better, right? Because nobody likes dilution. But the polyline, right? Maybe you do some kind of, you regain this uptrend, bounce off of it into the 200-day EMA, and you're not going to break it right away. But if you just flag and then you break it, guys, that's going to be our sign of monumental strength, opposed to all the other times when you smack the 200-day EMA and you just get butchered. You get annihilated. So if you're able to bump your head on it, right, like the shelf I've been talking about on HYMC, for example, if you can bump your head here and still remain strong, that is what we're going to be watching for AMC stock. And I think above the 200, you're going to see a very, very nice size launch, because it's one of the biggest bullies on this entire chart. But seeing as though you're in a bullish reversal pattern, the setup is there. The setup is there for sure. So let's see. Thanks. Becoming one of my GME TA guy favorite. Hello, everyone. Hello, Michael Casper. Hello, dude. I love your name. This sucks. I hope that isn't in reference to me. AMC pump before early December. Let's go into that a little bit more, because GameStop, I think, if you see that nice size launch, AMC and GameStop typically run with each other. And it's no mistake that you're getting to the end of a lot of these technical patterns, right? AMC's getting to the end, if it doesn't fall back in, of this falling wedge. Where are we at on the indexes? I mean, IWM's at an all-time high. Is it not? Rain check on IWM. Weather's looking fine, right? AMC has no reason to capitulate here aside for fundamental reasons, right? But typically, and you saw this in 2022, AMC had no bigger support than it had in 2022. But I said this in a previous video, when the tides go, so does the boat, right? It's very hard to outperform the market when the market's going down. So the fact that IWM's at an all-time high, ladies and gentlemen, that is insane for the potential thesis coming to fruition. So the daily actually looks kind of nice. The monthly, we talked about the volume profiles. We talked about the Bollinger Bands. The Bollinger Bands beginning to expand for the first time since back here when you saw insane volume and insane volatility. Since then, they've really just been coiling because you've been in a consolidative state. But I like to reference back here as well. I also like to reference NEO stock with the Bollinger Bands, because you can see just how tight they got, and then they began to expand as soon as you got above the mid band. So it's very crucial that AMC do the same, that AMC finds itself getting outside of this falling wedge above 372, and then you can really begin to see these boom boom candles that everyone loves so much, right? Because when AMC runs, it runs stupid. It runs against the fundamentals. So, and then of course the quarterly chart. I mean, just look how close that is to crossing. The quarterly chart looks insane. As you can see, doji, you're really seeing bears begin to slow down here. Hopefully, right? Hopefully. Can't guarantee anything, but the quarterly chart here crossing would be significant. And just to give you guys reference, look at how close that is. Let's look at something that I covered just yesterday, and look at what happened when you got the quarterly flip on HYMC. Now, this is driven by gold. This is driven by external factors, but when you got this quarterly flip, 46% a doji, 98%, and then you're now going into the mid band on the quarterly time frame. So absolutely filthy stuff. That's why I say typically I believe that the fundamentals can wait if the move is now, and oftentimes the fundamentals improve with the news. So I just want to know where the 80 million FTDs went for AMC. Honestly, I try not to focus on the fail to delivers, even though there is value in knowing the days to cover. I really do believe that there's value in watching some of those statistics. I think utilization is a really good one as well, as is short interest, but a lot of that stuff is self-reported. So I just try to focus on the charts and the story that the charts are telling me. Hello, everyone. What else we got? Come on, drop some more stocks. What else we got on AMC, GameStop? IWM, I covered this earlier today. I really like this position, even though you saw a doji at the all-time high. You could see something that positively affects NEO and AMC and GameStop if you retest this breakout and then rock it. And I think that's likely. In my opinion, I can give you an example of another stock that did that and did it well. There's two examples that come to mind. The first one being SoFi. Look at this macro broadening falling wedge. Or falling broadening wedge, and look at the breakout into the retest, and then you send. And when you retest it, this is when I was screaming, buy. Like this is one of my maximum bullish setups here. You break the falling broadening wedge, you take the profit target, which is the length of the width, and then you put it on top of the breakout, which was right here, and that took you horizontally straight to that. And also, funny enough, to the top of this bull channel. So I had believed that this run was over, and then not so fast, right? Not so fast. It made a turn. I agree. More focusing on how that I just want proof. Dude, I feel you. I really do feel you. Because there can be some things are more frustrating when you actually have no control of them, and you can't even, like, I like to think of TA, technical analysis, as like it's almost like a magic 8-ball. As much as Roaring Kitty played into that, you can kind of see the future with technical analysis. But when it's things like that, when it's actual crime, that can be annoying. But technical analysis is still good on these stocks. Just sometimes you will see the insane moves. And I go back to GameStop for that, because in my opinion, this pump into earnings and the dump, that's crazy, guys. Like, that is actual crazy on the options chain, and then also just crazy that people are willing to short this thing when the fundamentals are as good as they are. The short thesis is dead. It has been dead. I believe AMC gets a yes vote for 550 million. Will this move kill the squeeze? Your thoughts? I honestly believe, you want my honest opinion here on AMC? AMC, dilution's never great, especially when it's at these low prices. My hope is, and my wish as an AMC shareholder at low levels, my wish is that he would invest smartly, very much like Ryan Cohen, right? I want him to allow the stock, keep these shares in his back pocket, and allow the stock, along with the revenue increases recently between Taylor Swift bringing a massive hit to the box office and Wicked 2 coming in November, I would hope that he would allow the stock to recover off of that news, and then around this $4 to $5.50 area, as soon as we get above the 200-day EMA, right? I would hope that he then decides to use whatever shares he can to positively affect the trajectory of the company, right? Because let's say you are up here, we're rocking and rolling. Of course, you're going to kill the long thesis for a hot minute. There's no denying that. But it's more about this longer term structure recovery for AMC. And that's why I'm not in the belief that you're going to see 43 next week. Right? That is my long-term price target on AMC. If you can see Adam Aaron invest smartly and continue to strike these deals with Taylor Swift, Eminem, right? And continue to grow your top-line sales, but also cut costs on your underperforming theaters. So we're just going to have to kind of wait and see, unfortunately, sit on our hands and see what happens when it comes to that kind of stuff. What I do know is the chart looks filthy. If IWM can break out, GME can break out, you have an opportunity. But that's why I'm saying AMC can be a much riskier trade than GME at this point in time, right? Let's see, one at a time. What are your thoughts on XLM and XRP and crypto in general as the market reset tool, like Russia claims? And almost seems like, well, I do believe that this is one of the greatest liquidation events in crypto's history. And I can pull up XRP. XRP, I have a dear friend who is an XRP, and I've made it a point that it's like my thing to be bearish on XRP, but it always proves me wrong. So take that with a grain of salt, right? Me being bearish on XRP may actually be a good thing. And I charted this, and I actually tried to buy in XRP last week. I was sitting there in my car, just got out of work. I'm taking a phone call with this friend. I'm like, what the heck is going on? This is insane. Just the craziness that was happening. You had, I think it was Sui or one of the top 10 cryptos at 1 cent from $3. If that's not market manipulation, I don't know what is, but you actually had some insane buying opportunities. I did sell off some stock in order to buy in, average down, whatever I had to do. I think XRP is still great. I think there's a couple of opportunities here. You're above this macro uptrend, tap, tap, tap. What I'd like to see XRP do, and what matters, I think, for XRP is what Ethereum is about to do, ladies and gentlemen. AMC and GME peeps, stay with me, because Ethereum is quite literally, and listen closely, Ethereum can oftentimes front run the risk on assets market. So if you see Ethereum absolutely make an all-time high, you'll see XRP regain this wedge pattern and then potentially break out, and the profit target from that flag pattern, false breakout, $5. So I think there's a possibility for that to happen. I really do. Any ideas why Jimmy can't be traded on Webull? Only on Robinhood would that cause a squeeze? I think there's a lot of scammery almost with these warrants. It's actually kind of crazy to me to see, and I see this from Jackie Le, I'm not going to say the name, Jackie Le T, that in some instances there's more shares than warrants, so there's more warrants than shares. How does that work, right? Answer me, Ryan Cohen. So the whole warrant situation is very fascinating to me. But before I get into that, I just want to do XLM. I haven't charted, and my buddy asked for XLM. Want to be fair. XLM, I don't think that's the right one. XLM on Binance? Yes, XLM. All right, so you see XLM here on the weekly time frame. Let's just do a little chart. So same thing as XRP, right? And actually a way stronger version than I had expected compared to XRP. You actually already regained your flag. That's kind of insane. That is kind of absurd. And you can kind of see here off the extended line. I'm just curious if you could have guessed. Kind of could have guessed that bottom as like a retest, which is insane that we're even doing that, right? That's a crazy wick. But if I wanted to take that flag, right, we're taking that flagpole, we're putting it on top. And for me, nothing has changed. I really do believe that this is insane opportunity for crypto, because when you go to Ethereum, not a lot has changed. And I know I have so many dang lines on this chart. Well, let's just clear that up for you guys. But not a lot has changed, right? Ethereum dropped from 4.9 just to 3.7 in the largest flash crash of crypto history. You actually retested perfectly your wedge formation as well as your falling broadening wedge. And just like SoFi, guys, I mean, this is why I love this pattern so much, is you can just then directly take the profit target off the bounce or the breakout, and you get a profit target of $8,000 on Ethereum. So if you're worried about XLM, XRP, just look at Ethereum, guys, because this thing is set. You have all the big institutions and banks loading the boat on Ethereum, and you've never had more demand while having more scarcity on Ethereum. So imagine just what XRP would be worth at Ethereum 8K. I rest my case, right? Let's get into the viewers. Are you loading GME warrants or calls, shares combined of 3? So I typically don't really mess with calls. I respect everyone who does, though, and I've dabbled with them a little bit. But the warrants themselves, I'd like to kind of get a little bit more of an understanding before I loaded the boat on them. I know we just said we can't really see GameStop warrants from there. I typically like to just keep to the common stock. And of course, like, you hold your warrants, right? But the common stock here is in an insane value opportunity. And regardless of whether or not you bounce here at 2270, 2280, right? Even if you come down to this 21 level, guys, it is going to be okay. And in fact, I almost think you're more bullish if you come down here, because you're going to have institutions load the boat. You're going to have Roaring Kitty potentially load the boat, because if the trend is your friend, Roaring Kitty posted back here and he posted back here. So I honestly believe it might be even more bullish the further down you go. So not financial advice, of course. I just know what I would be doing at these levels and what the stock has typically done when it has been shorted this hard. You've seen institutions, retail, everyone pile in on this golden trend line tap that has just brought insane value every single time. And I would not expect any different until it proves me otherwise, right? I mean, even this micro tap, how much was that? 160%. So I really do believe in this company as a whole, because just like AMC, they are leading the way for kind of killing this short thesis and for fundamentally changing a company from something that makes no profit to one of the more profitable small cap companies in the stock market. So I'm excited to see what happens once you get down here. And it could already be the bottom, right? It's very possible. I just don't know if it's likely. Updates on Intel Corporation. Oh, Intel. Intel is probably still going to go up, but me, myself personally, I vested in Intel back at 20. Now, I sold off of this initial pop, expecting it to fill the gap because I'm an absolute coward. No, I'm a safe investor. I believe in taking profits. I believe in long-term growth, and I believe in, even though we're swinging these short-term, like, risky assets, I do believe in taking profits. Now, Intel, the reason I took stake in the company, and I can kind of specify on that, right? I want to give you guys a very clear reason on why I took a position in Intel. My friend literally the day before was like, hey, I think Trump's going to invest in this company. It's highly likely. But I mean, look at this chart and how it played out. It is absolutely one of the most beautiful falling wedge breaks. And I think in terms of upside potential, I do believe you're still going to go to 42 here. and make that third tap in this falling broadening wedge. Now, what happens after, right? So often in a falling broadening wedge, do you come down and you make a higher low before breaking? If we retest this uptrend, ladies and gentlemen, I will be screaming from the hill, buy Intel stock, because not only is Apple invested, Nvidia invested, the government's invested, I will make sure that I am invested because that drawdown, and the reason I say 42, because that tap, you're looking at a potential 50 to 45% drawdown, depending on how long it takes to get down there. The reason that I struck a long on Intel stock, you go to the monthly RSI, and this is why I specify so much on the relative strength index of a stock. You can see strong bullish divergence on the monthly time frame, making higher highs, while the stock was simultaneously making lower lows. That was enough for me to strike a long. Now, you also saw this on AMC, and this is why I preach. This is why I preach so heavily not the MACD. The MACD is great too, but the RSI, because I will pull it up from this point in time. Right here, you make a higher high on the RSI. In fact, you're in an uptrend. Meanwhile, you make a lower low or a equal low. We all know that this one went lower. And then you absolutely squeeze out of your mind. It wasn't just the monthly, it was also the weekly. You make a significant higher high or higher low on the weekly while making a lower low on the price, right? So that is textbook bullish divergence that inevitably gave you this move. And it kind of acted as a foreshadow, a magic 8-ball, whatever you want to call it, to predict that move. So I do believe in Intel as a company. I really do. You have a daily golden cross. I would just like to see you either fill this gap or come back to test the golden cross before striking along. Where do you see the SPY going? Large pullback or pump into Santa rally? I think Cost and BB have better clues when GME and AMC will run. I do actually. I freaking love both Cost and BB. In fact, I picked up BlackBerry shares recently. Any idea on why GME WS can't be traded on Webull, only Robinhood? That could cause squeeze. We talked about that a little bit. Webull, I'm not sure why, but Webull just overall, I like more as a platform. And to be honest, with how much of a hot mess Express it's been, it might just be that Webull didn't want to really associate with it, to be honest. It's their prerogative. Sui dropped to 25 cents. I missed that whole crypto dump. Dog, tell me about it. Crypto dumped to record lows, altcoins specifically, because what had happened was you had so many people that were leveraged long exponentially, right? And from that, you also had this massive dump that eventually, right, pull it up, you liquidated the longs because you had so many people leveraged long. So you liquidated the longs, and now I believe with this recovery that you are going to liquidate the shorts. And you see this happen a couple times in crypto and Bitcoin's history. I think Ethereum does a better job outlining it. I might have actually reposted on X that specific chart trend. This is, if you don't follow Cantonese Cat, I'm giving him some love here. He's absolutely fantastic when it comes to technical analysis. But this is Bitcoin in 2021. This is Ethereum. Crazy stuff, right? The striking similarity here, and it for me just gives me bullish bias that altcoins are going to run just like 2021, blow off top. And then you're potentially going to see GameStop, AMC follow, because these things, this money will rotate into these small cap stocks as the whole market becomes a lot more risk on. So That is my belief. Speaking of government investing, HYMC maybe, or wishful thinking, I think it's possible. I really do. I don't know if it's a worthwhile investment for the government, but I do know that the government is trying to hedge against not just inflation, but they're also trying to hedge against they're trying to become more independent, right? And when you see China, when you see all of these different companies, whether it be in BRICS or wherever, when you see these companies that own a majority of the mineral earths and the rare earth minerals, especially the ones that are crucial to our long-term success in EVs and just factory industrial production, you have to unhedge. So you have to invest and kind of prop up these companies in America that way that you can get the ball rolling for capitalism to kind of make better versions, but you at least need to bring those jobs back. So I can respect it. I think it'd be amazing for HYMC. HYMC's been on a monumental run. It's been crazy. So this is one that I charted, and it's just so beautiful because I charted this yesterday. I made a video and it was at, I think, $7. I was like, this is your next level. And it's just like that. Thump, thump, thump. It continues to bonk its head on these horizontal levels, these peaks, right? And you can kind of see that outlined by the trend lines. So if you break, guys, if you break this, where'd it close today? The high was, if you break 880, ladies and gentlemen, you are going straight to $10, potentially 11. And if you break that, it gets really, really stupid here. You get up to 15 on HYMC. So I'm going to draw that now. And I had a trend line here that I had drawn. I think it was on TradingView. I had drawn on TradingView, HYMC, Mining Corporation. Yes, it was. And I had this overall thesis on HYMC, that you were within this megaphone pattern. And once you got down here, it's a great opportunity to strike along, but I did not expect it to do exactly what it did. Did not expect this breakout to come all the way back. And the profit target from that breakout is somewhere between $15 and $18. Now, what is between $15 and $18? If you're looking for technical confluence, you have your weekly 200-day EMA right at 13 to 15. So I think that's fascinating. I really do. And I think if gold continues to make these pumps, I think it's likely that HYMC finishes its rally somewhere between 10 to 15. And I also believe that that's great for AMC. Just more validation, right? More validation. SPY rally costs. I agree with the cost statement. Speaking of government investing, HYMC. What else we got, y'all? What else we got? More crypto, more stocks, tech stocks, AMC, GME, questions. We can look at SPY in the meantime. Let's look at SPY. SPY. What I'm looking for here on SPY, and what I kind of dislike right off the bat, is weekly bearish divergence. And this is just from 2 seconds of looking at the chart. This is why, and it doesn't have to happen now. You could see a longer extended run with multiple touches, but right off the bat, you're seeing bearish weekly divergence. You're seeing a lower low on the RSI and a higher high on the price. That's not a great sign for the bulls, but I do believe long-term in SPY, of course, you'd be crazy to bet against it, right? So that's just something that I'm seeing right off the bat here. In fact, you had 1, 2, 3. So we'll see. You rejected the bull zone here. You went back, went below the weekly RSI band, and now you're looking to get back above it. So if you're looking for a spot that it might reverse, I don't think it's yet. In fact, I think it's actually kind of bullish on the short term that you've broken and you've retested this trend line that rejected you from the 2021 highs, that double top, right? You tapped it here in 2024 of December, and now you've broken out of it and you've retested it, guys. I think that's inherently very bullish. And even if you chop along this, guys, you're establishing new highs. You're establishing old resistance as new support. That's inherently a very bullish thing. So that does look good right now. I don't like this weekly flash crash gap fill. So that's a level to watch. That is a level to watch. If you're going to make a rejection here, it could be back to this gap fill. See if we got any other questions. No, it won't kill the squeeze. So SPY, we can do a little bit more in depth. Let's go to the monthly time frame. Let's see the macro. So in the monthly time frame, kind of crazy to see. You're in the bull zone on the monthly time frame. That is cracked, dog. That is actually crazy. And you have this macro. Ooh, that's kind of fascinating. So you have a 2018 trend line on the RSI that you're actually breaking out of, which is kind of crazy if you're going along the thesis that you're going to see this blow off top. So if you're to extend into the greed, exponential greed, this would be the time to do it. You rejected it here in December, came back down, and now you're looking pretty nice. You're in the bull zone on the RSI, and you've broken this trend line, giving you nothing but green space to go higher. Now, we are flashing red alert signs if you get up to 80 on the RSI, because typically above 80, 86, you have never really gone higher than that in the SPY's history that I know of. So above 86, we're good for now. Above 86, that's your take profit zone on the SPY. Let's see. What do you think Ryan Cohen is going to do with, or what do you think Ryan Cohen's going to do with cash? Possibly buy some Ethereum. I wouldn't put it off the table. I think he may continue to diversify the GME portfolio. I know during the interview, Ryan Cohen had specified that the reason that they bought Bitcoin was to de-lever and to hedge against inflation, or specifically printing of money. And I do believe that that's on the way for GameStop, or for the U.S. economy, excuse me. I do believe that they're going to print money, especially with the government shutdown. I think that's the most prevalent thing right now, is that the government for the U.S. has been shut down now for almost 2 weeks. It's going on one of the longest runs that the government shutdown has ever gone on, right? So seeing as that's the case, Democrats definitely want a much more lucrative deal that would require the government to print dollars. Now, although bad for your average everyday consumer, because that's going to cause inflationary prices, that's going to cause the dollar to lose value. What that does do in the short term for us investors, right, that makes the SPY and that makes risk on assets particularly pump like crazy. So I would say in that case, like, we're safe, but still not good for the overall economy. I think dilution is never good. Dilution is never good for investors immediately, but there is smart dilution. I think GameStop's a pitch perfect example of that. Did you hear about PAX and burning 300 trillion USD? I did not. Actually don't know about that crypto. Is that crypto? Paxos? Do they have it on TradingView? Paxos? Oh my goodness. It is. It is a crypto. What is that? What is the chart? You have some explaining to do. Sir, if you're investing in this, you're kind of cracked. That is some barcodey stuff, but I'm on the monthly time frame, so that might explain it. Still very barcodey on the daily. Am I in the right stock? You can tell me. That's cracked, dog. If you're buying that, hey, salutes to you, but it's not me. It is not me. What other questions we got, guys? Drop them down below. I'm here for like another 30 minutes tops. I'll review and see if I missed any questions. AI is going to sell all the shares at 290. Well, that would be depressing. Don't wish that on anyone, Casper. I want the best for all y'all, and I want everyone to win inevitably. If that's what he's got to do, I hope it isn't. But if that's what he's got to do, it's what he's got to do. AMC. Let's see, any questions? I'm not investors think it's hilarious. They can't mint money out of nothing. That's true. You wouldn't think so, but that's what they do. That's what the government does. They say, Jerome Powell specifically, boot up those money printers. And then an example is 2020. I mean, 2021. They literally printed 40% of the U.S. economy and then raised their hands like, I don't know why there's inflation. But what I do know is during that period, 2020, IWM, right, our favorite stock, saw one of the greatest rallies they've ever seen because this was zero interest. This was interest rates cut to zero. And they're not going to be cut to zero this time, but they will come down. And then also the money printers turned on. So very, very similar setup here. You can see the inverse head and shoulders going into monetary easing and economy printing. So I do believe that you're going to see on IWM this extension, especially with the recent breakout, right, to this 300 to 350 zone. And then I believe you'll see like GME top out, AMC top out, crypto altcoins top out, and then you'll see a broader mini recession or potentially scale back of the economy for whatever reason. I'm not sure. It always happens, right? You saw a top out here of risk on assets after this insane run where you saw Dogecoin go up 1,000%, GME go up 1,000%, AMC go up 1,000%. And although it might not be to that extent, I do believe you're going to see something similar. Do you think Ryan Cohen is going to let GME run or dilute again in the 30s? Gosh, if he dilutes in the 30s, this sucks. That would suck. And I would say inevitably he's doing what he has to do for the company to succeed long term. But I really hope if he does that at the 30s, man, I really hope that he would give some kind of long-term explanation or plan that he would have so much cash on hand. And doing nothing with cash on hand, although you can accrue a lot of interest and reap the rewards from that, it's much better to invest. It's much, much better to invest, especially when you're profitable. I mean, when you're profitable, they always say like sales cures all. Profitability cures a lot of problems. So I would hope with their current trajectory that he wouldn't have to. But is it a possibility? Absolutely, yes. What else? HYMC just looking filthy. Looking stupid. Outside the daily Bollinger Band is crazy. We had on the monthly. And so when I talk about the monthly Bollinger Bands on AMC, this is one prime example of why I talk about it, right? Look at this beautiful U-shaped accumulation as the Bollinger Bands constrict. Now, I always say Bollinger Bands are like a rubber band. Think of the time that the rubber band snaps is when the volatility picks up. And you can see here, this is a textbook Bollinger Band squeeze. You can predict these things by looking at the Bollinger Bands. And specifically, as soon as HYMC got above the mid band, right? You start to see an expansion and then you see a squeeze. which is absolutely cracked. Like, I don't know anyone else who's giving you that kind of knowledge, but this is textbook, besides for Cantonese Cat. Cantonese Cat is great at identifying these things, and I'd wish I had seen this sooner, right? You could strike along as soon as you saw this breakout candle above the midline Bollinger Band to form this uptrend. And if you did, congrats. Because on the monthly, just like Neo stock, you have a 3 white soldiers pattern. And if you don't know a 3 white soldiers candlestick pattern, let me inform you for a second. 3 white soldiers candlestick pattern is one of the most bullish reversal patterns in the entire stock market. Typically leads to crazy upside moves. This is just one example. This is one example, 1, 2, 3, and then a bold wick candle. Do you think we need DFV to come back to have GME for a large run? I would like to see it happen. I mean, gosh, he's been gone for so long. Roaring Kitty. When's the last time this man posted? The one, the only, DFV, last posted January 22nd. It's a sad reality, but I mean, I don't think you have to have him to see a healthy, consistent move higher. Just like this, just like this. I think what you need Roaring Kitty back for is another touch of this golden trend line and for a squeeze like that. I do believe that if he struck some kind of long, I mean, he's not just a political figure or a Twitter figure, right? This man also swings like $500 million positions. So he's quite literally affecting the stock positively. And then everyone is seeing, oh my God, this man's buying. This is an immense opportunity. So I just like the stock, man. I don't know about you, but I like the stock off this golden trend line. And I found when you touch this golden trend line, good things happen. And you could potentially do that again. The setup is there. Of course, I'd like you to bounce off the 200 weekly EMA. But if you don't, guys, I mean, we might be talking kitty soon. So it's very exciting. Don't think so. We need the people in charge to stop running every trade off exchange. Roaring Kitty coming back won't change that. Although true Roaring Kitty coming back will create insane buying value. Just like it did every single time he posted, he also hedged along. Let's pull up. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see a freaking portfolio update. That would be so nice. But regardless, every single time that we've tapped this golden trend, he's come back. Now, I'm not banking on that particularly, but I am banking on the stock to see a nice size launch off of this golden uptrend to at least $40, to where you've touched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times now. I would say that would be the minimum long target if I'm a GameStop holder, right? But above that, it starts to get really special because above $40, which is historically, if I put a horizontal resistance on, you can see just how reactive the stock gets. I mean, in one day, jumping from my 2 horizontal lines in a shooting star candle from 40 to 48, every time, wick, you get above it and you see crazy price action, volatility, right? So above $40, not only do you have a breakout of this trend, but you also have a potential test of this all-time daily gap fill at $73. God, my chart is tripping. Go all the way back. So I highlight this because GameStop has historically filled all of its gaps. Historically, it has. And that's why I'm so confident that you're going to see that $30 gap on GameStop fill eventually. But you can see here that you've left this very tiny price gap the first time Ryan Cohen diluted. this has never been filled. And I do believe that you will. I think it's only a matter of time. So whether it happens this year, next year, I think that you're long-term safe on GameStop. So I'm not worried about these short-term drawbacks of 15%. In fact, I'd add more. One day GameStop is going to fill our gaps. Pause. I hope so. I hope everything works out for everyone. I really do. AMC, I hope you guys get your bag. I hope GameStop gets their bag. And I hope that from that, we can not only build our minds, grow our minds, but grow our portfolios. It's always been my long-term goal is help bring other people up. Make friends along the way, right? I'll say the only thing I don't like in the short time frame is you were just getting this golden cross in the daily. And to see that that's now a death cross is not great. But of course you can invalidate that quickly. It's just not ideal, right? You had it back here. Death cross, invalidated, and now death cross. So GameStop just needs to make up its dang mind, right? What else we got? Good night, everyone, and good luck tomorrow. Good luck, Michael. Thank you for joining, bud. First Q&A ever. So appreciate everyone that's here right now. Let's drop some more questions. Any more crypto stocks that you want me to look at? Specific chart patterns? I like to look at, I think my most successful trade this year was SoFi. And one of my first publicized trades on this channel was SoFi. You guys can backtrack. I was talking about SoFi at $12 off of the retest of this falling broadening wedge. You take the profit target of the length, stick it on top. That was your horizontal resistance. Now you broke that and you're at $30 because this thing is absolutely cracked out of its mind, but I take great pride in this. Let's see. What else? Come on. Give me more stocks. Give me more charts. I got like 15 minutes here. What else? NVIDIA, maybe? Is anyone talking about NVIDIA? NVIDIA is another one where, you had a crazy opportunity here. And it was clear, too, because you had this uptrend from 2022. Bounce. And then this was your confirmation of this bull trend. And also a bounce out of the falling broadening wedge, just like SoFi, right? You see a nice size reaction. And then you have yet to see this profit. This profit target just so happens to be confluent with the tap, and potentially your third tap of, where is that? 265 on NVIDIA would be so crazy. What about silver and gold charts? Just funny enough, my friend that is into crypto XRP, he's also long silver. And that's all I had to say. And it's funny because he would come to work with like a brick of silver in his backpack and he'd like put down his bag. You hear clunk. Like, what the hell are you doing, man? It's freaking crazy. But in fact, he just had like one of the best diversity methods in his portfolio. It's hilarious. So silver is absolutely cracked out of its mind. In fact, I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to do it extended because it goes so far. So you saw significant resistance on this bull trend or whatever you want to call it, right? You've been trading in 2 years, just in a solid bull trend on silver. Now, you flagged out on top of it before you broke out, retested, and went from 37 to 48. Now, if I wanted to, I'm very curious. I'm going to strike a horizontal line and I'm going to go on the weekly because I want to see if this is, oh, yeah, it's your all-time high, baby. So silver looks nice. And even if you see a pullback here, right, you could see a pullback and a test of this bull trend. In fact, I would expect it probably because that test would also most likely come at the horizontal resistance here. So let's say even if you pull back to 42, guys, you are significantly bullish. And I think you could create this larger cup handle and then break. And I don't even know what you could expect here. But what I do know is If you're not taking profits right now on rare earths, you're crazy. What do I think about BBAI? BBAI is a crazy volatile stock. I take also great pride in SoundHound AI because it was one of the first stocks that I'd covered. And you had it just like silver, very similar, a bull trend channel, broke down, traded against, and now if you break back into, you're going to go crazy. But BBAI is just cracked out of its mind, man. I mean, just crazy. You're actually wicking. You're wicking against your all-time trend line on BBAI. So I tend to make these trends gold. No change. I'm going to do it for this one too, because if you break this trend line on BBAI, you're going to go insane. You're going to go stupid, right? Potentially all the way up to 16 or an all-time high. Now, one thing for sure is I'm not buying at these levels. I just wouldn't. I'm not a chaser. I would have liked to have seen this much further back. Let me change the color back to red. And what I do know is you have the opportunity here to see a pullback into the $6 zone and potentially make this shoulder, head, shoulder. So this inverse head and shoulders, and then see the profit target from that, right? Now you could also say double top, and that would be 100% valid. But what I do know is if you broke this horizontal trend, right? Break this horizontal trend, make an inverse head and shoulders, I'd probably give you a price target right at, funny enough, Confluent, the all-time high. So BBAI has potential. It definitely does. If I wanted to look at it on TradingView, because I like to see the longer term outlook, I also like to see the RSI. RSI trending up, you have a very, very successful trend here on the RSI. So if you peeled back to this trend line, I would be slapping the freaking ask. I would be buying the crud out of this stock. But as it sits right now, not touching it. Looks great for this U-shaped accumulative pattern. And I do believe AI is here for quite a while. I think that this bubble or this niche will continue to grow exponentially, just like the dot-com bubble, just like the meme stock bubble, whatever you want to call it, right? Until eventually you pop, and then you will see long-term growth be the priority. What else we got? What else we got, y'all? Drop it below. You do have technical weekly bearish divergence here. Higher high, lower high. So be careful. That's what I would say. Definitely be careful. You have your point of control at $3. Make them holler. $3.80. So I would say if you peel back all the way to $3.80, that is a fantastic buy, sir. As you can see, it's actually wicked very often. Wick, 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 wick. That was your breakout. So yeah, 389, 385 is a good area to buy. Any thoughts on BlackRock and their move to put everything on blockchain? I think that BlackRock knows the future a little bit too much so that it's scary. Let's look at BlackRock stock, though. Something that I looked at prior. Oh, come on. Give me the actual stock. See, like, this is an example of just how diversified they are. And it's kind of gross because they're a monopoly. But typically, money follows BlackRock. So if they're doing that, man, it's It's a good thing. Just like back in 2023, 2024, right? They're buying up Bitcoin. They know the future. They're not dummies. And oftentimes, you're better off following the big guy. You can see, silence that. Pretty overextended on BlackRock stock. And just charting the macro on it. I mean, you have a decent ways to go to the top here, 1,600, but you see a lot of flash crashes on this stock. 2023, 2025. You also have, just like the S&P, actually, check my chart. No, I take it back. That's bearish. So BlackRock, very interesting stock. I'm not personally buying it. Do you think Bull could be another Hood? Absolutely. I absolutely do. In fact, that I actually called when it first IPO'd. I was like in a chat with my buddies, and I was like, dude, Webull is going to go insane. I know it is, because I like to bet on historical trends. Robinhood came to the market, IPO'd. Robinhood did the exact same thing, almost the exact same dollar, right? And then you saw a long-term accumulation. And I would bet on this stock. I would. I just wouldn't do it now. And maybe I'm crazy. And now that I look at it, I might be crazy, right? Because you have a historical uptrend that you're wicking off a doji candle and closing above the weekly 200-day EMA. Yeah, I actually like it here. Although you're about to see the 9 cross below the 50. So personally, I would wait to see what happens because that's going to cross, right? And historically, when this crosses, it's not great. But the stock is just so interesting. I did think you were going to see this longer cup and handle. And so I was willing to buy it at like this handle breakout. Wasn't the case, though. So the one thing I don't like is you're forming this kind of bull channel here. And you have a tap, and then a knife below, a retest. So you're really just pinned on Webull. I mean, you're pinned beneath this previous support, now new resistance. You're pinned above this uptrend and above the 200-day EMA. So the next month, the next couple weeks is going to be absolutely crucial. And I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to wait to potentially see what this thing was going to do. Because if you coil into this and then break, of course, I think Webull, long Webull all day. But there is potential for a potential double bottom here. Double bottom on the stock before going higher. So that would be my only thing to say, like, be careful. Going to the monthly time frame, just curious. Most volume on this stock is bearish, or at least this month. It's not a good look. Daily, you're about to get a death cross. So I'm kind of favoring the bears here, unfortunately. But you're in a point in which it could go either way. So it's one of those stocks that I can start to cover regularly if you guys want that, if you guys would support that, right? Get the views, share it, all that good stuff. Because I personally love this stock. You see me every single day trading on Webull, and it's because I love the platform. I think it's great. Cost stock. What are we at on subscribers here? If you're not subscribing, you're watching. 789. We moved one. That's not bad. Let's get to 1,000. And let's look at costs, because I was invested in costs last year, but I have not yet. And wow, you're starting to see a little bit of volume come in here for costs. Cost is kind of looking nasty. Take the macro. So it's no doubt that you bounced here. In fact, it's not surprising. You have this macro trend line on cost. I would evenly compare this to the GameStop golden trend line, so we can make it gold for you guys. You guys already know the program. It's our golden trend line. Because this was your 2020 squeeze trend line in which you went from 90 cents all the way up to $122. Jeez. And your POC is at 17, which is very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Now you saw a crazy rally, a mini bounce, rejection. It was a fake out. You've now bounced it and bounced it again. I like costs at these levels. I really, really do. Because not only have you found support along your golden trend line, just like GameStop could potentially do here, but you're about to cross the weekly RSI band and the 50 point. And typically when you flip the 50, which is this checkered line, almost like a road, left side of the road, you're on the highway, right? Things are looking good. You're going fast. You're moving and grooving. Right side of the road, you're getting stuck on intersections and merging traffic. It's not great. You're going down, right? I'd like to be on the left side of this road, and I'd like to be above the RSI band here on cost. Not a bad situation at all. I really like this stock. It looks insane. And just in a more macro picture here, if I took that, what's your formation? Got a falling wedge or a ascending channel. No, it's ascending. So you have a triangle formation here. You could break the golden trend line just like you did in 2020. Hit a bottom here at 430 and then see your larger squeeze into the POC, point of control here at $17, which is the largest volume shelf on the entire stock's history. So that would be interesting. That would be very interesting. And I like the stock at these levels. If you're willing to risk coming down to this channel, got a hiccup. If you're willing to risk 14% and then average down, I think you're looking good, in all honesty. In all honesty. AI coin wiped me out this week. Took a bad gamble. That's terrible, man. I'm sorry to hear that. AI cryptos, sketch. Owen Wilson, wow, haha, run the clip back. Owen Wilson. That's funny. That's funny. That is really funny. You got me. You caught the tater. You caught Owen Wilson. That's really funny. Anything else, guys? I think that's almost the end here, but I want to take any more questions if you guys have them. You said, wow, just like Owen Wilson. Not that you look like him. I'd like for you to send me this. I'll make a Discord sometime soon, or I'll make you just moderator. Do you want to be moderator? I can add you as a moderator. You've been very, 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 very. Prediction. TFE coming back with a 30 million warrant. God, that would be crazy, man. That would be just like GameStop too. What has been your biggest gainer? My biggest gainer by far this year. Intel was great. Intel was like a 50% swing in the span of 2 weeks. Intel was a great swing. But my biggest gainer by far, guys, none other than Bonk. And I know I'm an absolute crypto degenerate for this, but Bonk has been very easy to chart for me, at least for me. in which you see these higher swing lows and swing highs, swing lows, swing highs, swing low, swing high. And you've created these like falling wedges or this double bottom, right? In which I really, really I think it was like the month of July where this was the largest gaining crypto in the entire market. Or at least one of the largest gaining market caps in the crypto market. So Bonk has been an absolute gold mine for me. And I've averaged down, like I sold my position literally at 35. It went to 40. And then I averaged down all the way to 14, I think is my new average. So I'm trying to play the swing highs and the swing lows. You can see just how volatile crypto was, but my bet is that you're going to see from this rally in Ethereum, this monthly MACD cross, and that Bonk will hopefully make another higher high. And that would put you above 40 into the 200-day monthly EMA, which you've never closed above. So that would be my profit target, and that would be an insane profit target. I would say my number one profitable stock trade. Yeah, I think it's Intel. Most of my profit take has been on crypto. So I think it's Intel. Setting the price floor for stocks that are manipulated by China. That includes GameStop, obviously, right? I love this man. It's a great guy. Not financial advice, of course, but what do you like more? Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP long term? I see all having huge implications in the future. Also, love your energy. Keep it up, brother. I appreciate it, Tim. I really do, because I try every single day to bring the same energy for you guys. And I genuinely want us all to grow, myself included. So I appreciate that. Honestly, percent-wise, if XRP pulls off what it wants to, I think XRP is going to be the biggest percentage gainer, because XRP wants to network within banks, within institutions, within countries, right? And so I think if you're willing to take the risk, XRP. Now, I'm not advocating buying it at these levels, but year over year, undoubtedly Bitcoin. I got to pull a Michael Saylor here and say that there is no second best. There's Bitcoin. And if I pull up the chart, I mean, Bitcoin has just been insane. Insane. BTC. Go to I always find it comical to pull up the yearly chart, because if you're patient enough and you can grab somehow a Bitcoin, just look at the yearly chart. Historically, you've seen 3 years of upside and then a year of downside. 1, 2, and we're waiting for the third, and then a year of downside. And then 1, 2, 3, and then a third, and then a year of downside, right? So I think Bitcoin over the long term is always going to be the first best crypto to buy. And the reason that it's always such a turnoff is you see this price, right? 110. But if you could just get one, it's like you never sell your Bitcoin. You just don't. And if I was going to make a new crypto portfolio after this alt season or whatever happens with Ethereum, I would restake into Bitcoin, because I think a lot of people are doing that. I think Bitcoin adoption is coming. And I do heavily believe in Michael Saylor's conviction. He gets me, man. If you watch a seminar with Michael Saylor, it's like no other. He's actually like motivational. I think short term, Ethereum is going to see the largest swing, though. We charted that, and it looked cracked, man. It looked crazy. ETH. Just look at it. Just look at it. You are testing the daily 200-day EMA. Beautiful wick off of that. You've tested your breakout from this falling broadening wedge. And you're in an interim or a micro falling broadening wedge. Now, the breakout of that takes you up to 6K, your price target of the falling broadening wedge, because you've now successfully retested, right? Price target off the breakout takes you up to 10K, ladies and gentlemen. 10, I think Ethereum tops out somewhere between 6 to 10. 6 to 10,000. It's all going to be about what the RSI is doing, what the MACD is doing, and what institutions are doing. So that's really how you predict the top. But I see we got 4 concurrent viewers, guys. God bless to each and every single one of you guys for tuning in to my first Q&A. Make sure to slap the share button, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Make sure to tune in to the next couple videos because we're going to be here every single day. So thank you guys, and God bless. Peace out, guys.